Good evening, Link to the Past Randomizer League, and welcome to the second week of the division finals. Tonight we have a third game between Zelda and Chill and Elf. Right now, Zelda and Chill is up 2-0 over Elf. Tonight's matchup is our power pendants. We have Oro for Team Zelda and Chill versus fylion of Team Elf. The mode is hard MC shuffled, so that is a hard item pool with maps and compasses shuffled. My name is Radical Sniper 99, and tonight I'm joined by Adalor. Good evening.
Hello, hello. Good evening.
So yeah, if you missed the series up to this point, in the casual boots matchup,
Speaking of
Darity took.
boots,
Yeah, speaking of boots, uh, Darity took down Udai Mystic, and then in the Wisdom Pendant for Cross Keys, Amerith took down Locke. So it has been quite the series so far. Zelda and Chill looking for that third win tonight to move on to the conference semis, while Team Elf needs to have the reverse sweep happen here to stay in.
yeah, it'll be neat to see if we get another 3-0 sweep. We've already had one of those in the conference so far. Um, I don't- I'll let's see. Outside of that, we've also had earlier today we had a tie up for 2-2. We're seeing game five from another matchup, which will be scheduled. I'm hearing about this Sunday probably. Also, we have a Moon Pearl already. Boots and Moon Pearl already. What the heck?
And that's a nice bush crab, I must say, as well,
Yeah,
over
early
in the
bombs is
woods.
nothing. Just
Yeah.
early bombs is really nice. I mean, we have the early boots. You can actually just bonk the rock if you want free bombs, but Oro doesn't know that just yet.
Yeah, and I prefer the early play to Uncle in open, but I can see either play. I don't think there's one that's necessarily the right or wrong play.
No, Uncle Route is fine. A lot of people do Uncle Route, and you get a free look at your easy tier one tree pull, and you get two items for it, and maybe get lucky and get a weapon. Just go straight into castle. It happens.
Exactly. Yeah, instead what we are going to get is finally it's going to give us a look probably at the lumberjack ledge, as well as continue to work out some of that extra money.
Yeah, peeking at lumberjack early is especially when you find boots right off the bat, you're just like, let's look at lumberjack just to see what's there. Because boots in logic means earlier they are, the more likely the game might put something here. And we have a big 20.
Yeah, so it might have been a while since some of our audience tonight has seen hard mode. This was, of course, the main setup for the most recent main tourney. But a hard item pool means we will not get a butter sword. We will not get silver arrows. We're not going to get any armor upgrades. We're going to have a maximum of 14 hearts, maximum of a fire shield. What that does also mean, however, is all of the swords and both bows are placed. But as soon as you find that third sword or you find that first bow, the remaining ones become big 20s.
Yep, it does not affect the rate of acquisition of those items, just how many maximum you can actually receive. So kind of ether medallion in the drop down. We've got Oro getting into the back of Kakariko well. And we're gonna find more big 20s. We're getting enough money. We got at least enough for bottle vendor, and that tier 180 rupee is really farmable if you want to try to get to Zora money early in case Kakariko doesn't pay out enough.
Yeah, and that's definitely very tempting. Especially with those boots, I love the idea of doing a water walk up to Zora very early, and just knowing how great that tier 1 is would almost push me there even quicker.
Yeah, definitely. You've got the option of doing that water walk straight to it.
So now, of course, the big thing is that this being our third game means we had our high C tonight. Team Elf had choice of the mode. There are 4 modes that they could have picked. That included this one, hard MC shuffle. We also have a hard enemizer, a Inverosia, as well as swordless. So, and if Elf is able to take this game, Team Zelda and Chill would be able to pick the mode for game 4.
Yep. They'll then elect one of their members to play game four. It does not have to be the power player. They can choose anyone they want. And that lower seed player then gets to choose the mode for the fourth game out of the three that were not picked for the actual power pendant game. There's a single arrow on the library. There it is. We found it.
most important unique item in the game. And when we say unique, it is actually it has part of the code like would say that it is a unique item.
There is only one of them, just like the 100 rupee, also unique technically. All right, so Oro's actually just going to blind check the straight for the race game item, assuming there's something important here, which I don't. I actually like this considering you haven't really found a lot of stuff, and turns out he was right. We've got a lamp.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. I've heard a lot of people talk about this idea is if you don't find anything in Kakariko that's really progression, and we hadn't found much, you almost want to blind play race game. So
Yep, it's kind of a judgment call of how much stuff you've gotten, and yeah, it was a good call there. Oro's done with the Kakariko loop. We're gonna get those boots and head on down south to the dam and mini Mulroom Cave and all that. We've got just enough bombs to probably pull it off. There's actually a bush crab between the dam and mini Mulroom Cave they can use to get a few more bombs if they want.
yeah, that would really be a helpful play right now.
We've got our first not even a good map though, the GT map. So maps encompass a shuffle, but there are two maps you really don't care to see, and those are the castle map and the GT map. They do not do anything for us.
Yeah, that's not really going to help us in this one. So unfortunate, but it just means that if we find any other maps, they're just that much better.
That much more potentially valuable. Yep.
Right.
Ooh, half magic. That's a nice start.
Yeah, and with that cane of Burna, that'll mean, even without having the bombs we'd like, we're still in good shape.
Now, I was actually taking an interesting option here. Gonna go ahead and run west from the dam and possibly look. Oh, just going straight. Nope. Gonna look at Desert Ledge. Yeah. So with early boots, you might take this option of just running over here. That's a compass. We don't care about that. And then we'll just go right up to Agina and knock out this sphere one check, which is often kind of isolated.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what goes into that play is being able to say, okay, I went up here and I found, or like I went to the dam and I found an item I want to keep. So rather than going to get that item and then going back to the right and having to go route around a little bit, you say instead, I'll go pick up the item and go left. So,
Yeah. It's just slightly closer to running left than right. Yeah.
yeah. Can't say I think it's the best or not, but it's a decision.
I was going to go ahead and head up and do the castle, do the uncle checks, and then presumably fylion will head out and pick up their half magic, and we'll see if they go left or right. Right it is. We're going to take our 6 bombs and head over to Mini Worm Cave. I mean, burn a half magic too. You
Yeah,
could
no,
actually
that's
just use
just
that to kill
great.
mini Moldworms too. Yeah, you see that bush crab is giving us plenty of bombs. We are stocked up now.
Now, Adalor, we're both on playoff teams right now. What kind of mentality do you go into for this race, or like what kind of do you think our runners have tonight? For Oro, you want to end the series, you want to clinch this spot for your team, but do you also feel like, hey, I'm kind of playing with house money a bit here, and can maybe, just maybe gamble a little bit harder? And of course, for filing, how do you approach knowing you have to win?
Yeah, that's hard to say. I mean, we had some of these similar conversations within our team because we were 2-0. We were in this situation, and actually, it was the power game too. Going into that, we had 2 wins already, and we were thinking like, all right, how risky do we want to be, or how safe do you want to play? And our power player Chloe ended up kind of like saying, "Oh, I feel like I just want to play more safe, more secure, kind of clear the game and not take any gambles." And it worked out. Like we did win that game and took it 3-0. I feel like that's my thought too. If you've got the safety, like you can just play kind of a nice safe game, and if you just get randoed and your opponent beats you, well, you still got 2 more chances to take the series, especially if you have confidence in your later games. Like if you think your co-op veterans team is going to be better than their co-op veterans team, then you might just think game 5 is like a safety net and you can afford a loss or two.
Yeah, and that's the hard part is, co-op veterans being kind of that looming mode for game 5. Some people definitely will have that practice on it. But I don't know how many entrance co-ops have you done?
Not very many, and by not very many I mean 0. It has not been my focus on our practice on our team. We didn't even need. I mean, we were thinking if it got to where we have like a game 4 situation, we'd kick up the practice more. But we haven't worried about it so much yet. We'll see with our next series how that one turns out. Oro found the flippers in the back of escape, so that's and there's a bow on Hobo, so that's immediately thrown. We know that's already in logic, so we could be seeing a potential Eastern dip here.
Yeah, I would definitely be in favor of an early Eastern.
And Oro is going to go ahead and clear out the rest of castle. It looks like we do have a nice weapon, in technically a weapon in terms of burning with half magic. It's definitely enough to take care of anything you need to kill in castle to get to the back or to the cell. And we do also have bombs. If you're comfortable with bomb start, you can do that too.
Really heads up use of the bomb timer going down while you're opening a chest.
Here we see fylion go ahead and doing the fake flipper, took the water walk to Hobo, and then just jump back in. And now we'll do in and out and in, which because we have the moon pearl does that little walk glitch. And is there a second glove already? All right then.
Okay, that's Dark World access. I don't know. Would you still go do Eastern? I guess at this point.
I think with early Dark World, I'm now thinking, what if it's possible that that we are able to combo it later with Pod if a mirror pops up early, or maybe waiting a little bit to see what maps show up and whether you want to dig Eastern based on what its prize is.
True.
Because now, like with Dark World access, you've got a bunch more stuff that's opened up. I mean, it's like a weaponless Dark World, but you do still have more stuff that's become available.
And of course, the question is, okay, it looks like Fylion might be going for that Eastern play still. And 300 bucks out of Zelda cell, so
Yeah, not really anything in special in Castle. And I think we don't have a small key there, so I think the key actually did end up being in Dark Cross. I didn't quite catch the key counter, but I'm
yeah,
assuming that we'd have the key in Dark Cross because they're not going for it. So, oh, it was in
yeah.
sync. Okay,
Oh, right, because Oro went straight to Dark Cross.
got it. Okay, so we did get it. All right, cool. So yeah, we've got a little bit of Sahasrara. We got a lot of stuff to talk about also. So Sahasrara, of course, I mean, MC Shuffle, he gives us some valuable information telling us that our green pendant is Tower Hera. And Phylion's come out with a sword and a cape. What does sword and cape mean early on? But it doesn't matter.
Well, okay, so here's the thing with this. Can it still?
It definitely could still matter, actually. Yeah. If we've got a hammer in East Dark World, well, we got flippers though. I don't know if that really matters.
So that doesn't. But if we find a mirror, that does kind of say that Aga's possible. The rare hammer in Pyramid Fairy is actually still on the table.
Yeah, I think that would have to be the situation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way that we'd still actually have to do Aga at this point.
With an actually useful map in the first check of Eastern, we got our TR map. So once we get a Dark World map check, we can know what that is. We may not get too many map checks also in this mode because of the features with 31010. Being in a dungeon while you have its map lets you see the prize indicator in the top left. It'll be right next to the top of the magic bar. It'll have a P or a C indicating that it is a pendant or a crystal.
Yeah, I think I would keep track of what ones I'm finding, of course, but other than that, I would probably be more likely to clear a lot of dungeons, even if they are pendants and I don't know it for now.
Yeah, and that also kind of plays into the fact that this is still MC Shuffle, so every dungeon has its value increased by 2. So like Eastern normally 3 items now has 5 in it because 5 chests and a big key. That's all that's in here. So every dungeon just inherently has more value to it. So you're going to want to probably just clear more dungeons in general. Yeah.
And I think Oro set up the water walk there out of Ice Rod Cave and then use the angled ledge to get down there. So really nice use of the techniques there. And of course, the extra little bit of money out of Eastern feels good right now, having spent so much already on Zora.
Yeah, we're getting we. Oh, the dog is exploding. Hold on.
So, Fylion going through Eastern Palace, Oro is just finishing up all the flipper checks. Um, so Oro a little bit just behind on some of the early checks. Not necessarily a bad thing, having cleared out all the rest of Escape, and of course finding those flippers is a nice little bonus. I don't believe Fylion will miss those just because of the fact that they're the back of Escape. Front of Escape really didn't give us much, so if Fylion skips front of Escape, not a big deal.
The flippers, I believe we found in the back of Escape. Yeah.
Yeah, back of Escape. So I don't believe that's something Fylion skips. Like I could see definitely in a Sank start after this and hitting the back real quick. But I've also been in this spot where you start or you start Sank knowing you got Dark World access and you just go straight for Dark World. So
Yeah, if a seat opens up real fast, you can see it end up like you can skip stuff like back of Escape that you normally get early, but you're like, and you got so many options and it opens up. You might just you gotta kind of just pick where you want to go, and some stuff will have to wait.
yeah, and that can be really dangerous because if we do see a skip of Escape this early, it becomes very hard to want to go back. Or even to remember you skipped it because that's almost like, oh yeah, I always check that in the first 20 minutes. I had a glove forever. Of course I did back of Escape. But nice kill of Armos there for a crystal.
Yeah, solid Armos Knight's kill, and yeah, we've got our first crystal. We will not need to worry about the Eastern map whenever we get it because we've got a prize already. There's also something to be said for getting into the dark world for more information because we will get to talk to the bomb shop owner who will tell us what our red crystals are. So that's two more maps that we won't end up needing once we've got that information.
Now, of course, Oro is going with the Eastern play first and then checking Zaha afterwards. I like this just because, if I don't know what necessarily if this is a pendant or green pendant even, but I want to still do Eastern anyway, then I can always hit Saha right afterwards. So I like the play.
Yeah, just in case you end up with a vanilla green pendant. Yeah, or is missing a sword here, but like you've got a bow and burn a half magic. A sword in Eastern isn't too big of a deal. And here's finally making that connection with linking up King's Tomb with the back of Escape check.
Yeah, so no real issue there. That's always a nice thing, it's not going to come down to that kind of play.
And it looks like he's going to go ahead and make the trip to Dark Cross here as well.
Yeah, we'll see what that means for front of Escape. Does Fylion feel like they want to be a little extra thorough tonight? I can't say for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a judgment call, especially when you've got so much of the world already open to you. Yeah, there's a 3 bomb pack there. We'll save and quick because you can't get to the front of castle from the middle. There's a one-way door behind the throne. And we're starting Sank, so I can't imagine we're going to castle immediately. Oro is working on the Eastern Palace trip. Going to get over to the right side here. We do have a lamp so we can easily see where the enemies are in the back and not have to worry about running into too much. I mean, unless the Popo's in the way anyway.
And I mean, you want to save that one arrow for the on that Popo, right?
All right, so we do have a little bit of map information on Phylion's side. We got a crystal at Thieves Town and a pendant at Turtle Rock.
Not the worst feeling, that's for sure.
Now, Crystal Thieves is nice. You want Crystal Thieves because you're going to want to clear that dungeon because right now is a value of 6. And it's a pretty quick clear. It's a nice dense dungeon with a not doesn't take too long to run through it, and it's really light on requirements too. You just need like, a hammer to full clear it.
Yeah, knowing we might not need ice rods, another good reason for that pendant there. So
Yeah, the last thing anyone really wants in these races is to come down to an ice rod hunt, and there is our hook shot in the middle chest of Skull Woods.
now that's an interesting one. Kind of with the idea that those flippers could have been a problem. Hookshot equally now could be one. I don't know how Oro likes to route Dark World, but I can speak personally there that sometimes I skip out on Skull until I get Fire Rod.
Yeah, Skull Front is a very contentious point. Some people avoid it like the plague, others treat it like Overworld and always do it. We've got our first bottle there with a free blue potions. That is also nice to see. We didn't actually get any keys in the first two checks, which is a bit unusual for Skullwoods. So Phylon's going to go ahead and take the drop because you know for sure that you're not going to get stuck in here.
Yeah, I mean there are three smalls, so and technically a small cannot be on Moth, so
Yeah, you're guaranteed at least one small key in these three checks at this point. So yeah, you'll be able to get out of here. You don't have to save and quit from the bottom. Of course, it's going to be all three small keys. Knowing Skullwoods. Oop, I was wrong. We've got a Quake medallion. That's two of our medallions already, and we haven't even seen whether they're useful.
wait, Quake can actually ever be useful?
Yeah, you can kill pen gators with it.
You have
That's
a
actually
point. I'll give
I,
you
I
credit
feel
there,
I feel
but
like that's one of the best uses of Quake is actually dealing with pen gators in Ice Palace when you have like not a good sword or whatever for dealing with them.
fair enough.
Phylon has come out with enough items out of Skull Woods. We are out of here, and Aura was going to get their cape and sword out having finished Eastern Palace, and now they are done here. Quick peek at Bumper Ledge. That's just a map. I mean, you could get that if you're hard up for information, but probably not. We'll probably just see that he skipped. Maps are
Yeah,
nice, but you don't want to take that much time to get one.
yeah, I'd be tempted to, but not necessarily required at all. So
Finally, we'll continue to give us some new information here. Getting into the Village of Outcasts, we find a heart piece and C-shaped. Still kind of low on hearts. We're only at 5 and 6 between them.
now, how hard do you
Yeah.
push thieves without a hammer in this mode?
Oh, that's hard.
Because the fact that
It's
we
hard.
know who map and compass are shuffled, that removes two of the items that you usually don't care about being in that chest.
Yeah, I mean it's all things random. A 7 out of 8 chance that the thieves' big chest has an item in it. Is it something you want? No, you'd have to open it and find out. But Hammerless Thieves Town, I've kind of grown to hate doing it because it just feels bad leaving the big chest alone, even in just standard like open where there's no dungeon item shuffled. Just like it feels bad every time.
Yeah, and Oro's gonna check out Lumberjack Ledge, having just got this is the first time returning to this area with the boots.
It looks like Phylene has opted to skip thieves entirely, at least for now. I don't blame him, especially with it's a crystal. You want to at some point make just like one trip in there and full clear the whole thing. So we get a heart piece after about a dozen digs or so, and it says, "Nope, I'm okay."
Yeah, and we'll find plenty of heart pieces most likely. We saw this a lot during the main tourney, of course. That generally speaking, you're gonna reach 14 hearts or close to 14. So you don't really have to go out of your way for pieces, especially.
Yeah, there's actually a little bit something to be said for waiting on your heart pieces to kind of like get them later to potentially get like better timed refills. Like you skip on a visible heart piece when your health is already full. Maybe you get one later when you're really needing a clutch refill. So
Yeah, agreed.
because
So
you're only going to get like 12 of them. I think it's specifically 12 heart pieces is the cap out of the whole 24 that are in the pool normally. So
yeah, a little different than what we saw with the SGL hard, where it
yeah,
was mostly pieces instead of containers. This actually does not change the number of base pieces or containers in the game.
Yeah, so we do have Phylan decided to just a little bit more around village, but then came back up and said, "All right, we'll dig into Thieves Front and see what's here." So we've got a vanilla big key, as you do. Means that the entire rest of the back of the dungeon, we already got the small key, so we're gonna have 4 more items to make for 6 total here.
Yeah, and unfortunately, while the Thieves Town small key does put the dungeon in logic, it does mean we are unable to get that item, or that it is an item more so.
Yeah, so we're gonna be leaving 1 item behind here, unless for some crazy reason there's another hammer in Thieves Town. It could happen.
And I would joke about, there's never anything in Thieves' Big Chest when you orphan it, but I think we've seen too many times already in the last week where it's had something.
Yeah, and like you get in that kind of, you see it happen often enough, you get kind of like, I don't know if it's like a superstition or whatever you want to call it, but it's like you hate to do it because you don't want to be another one of those people that the orphan thieves big and there's something really big there.
I was about to say we're about to have that heart piece thing you said earlier come true, and then it wasn't the fourth.
It wasn't a refill, not yet. It might have been with that one we skipped. You never know. I'm not sure what
Right.
count we're on. All right, Oro's got their Quake medallion now, and we'll be done with Skullwoods relatively soon here. Ooh, that's a rough snipe from the Red Zazak. That was really harsh.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Luckily, has bombed the attic. I don't know. At that point, I'd be more tempted to leave.
Yeah, and you get kicked out to the entrance of the dungeon forcibly. You might say, "Well, I just come back later." Yeah, but no, Phylion's going to persist.
And the other thing I'd be really tempted right now is actually an early mountain play.
Yeah, the hook shot coming out. So we've got hook shot and mitts. Like you're missing hammer and gloves. You can't get or hammer, or you're missing hammer mirrors. What I meant to say. So you can't quite get everything on the mountain, but there's still a lot accessible. And it looks like we're actually seeing that from Oro right here. They're going to go ahead and make their way up.
This is
Oh
just
wait,
for
no.
that map
Oh
on
wait. Oh
bumper.
wait, that's bumper. I saw the cave and the pallet shuffle threw me off. Dang it.
Yeah, palette shuffle is a very interesting thing. I think there's definitely been some discussion this week about it. Um, I don't know. I definitely of the opinion that in entrance, I think it can really throw you off.
Yeah.
But here in a very normal standard mode, I don't disagree with the idea of just giving a shot for it. And did we get another death from Fylion in Thieves?
Perhaps. I think that might have been another death, and they decided to. Oh, or was it just a save and quit? Okay, they
Oh,
decided to
okay.
call it quits in there for now. All right. Speaking of the mountain, now we're gonna get our mountain trip on Phylion's side instead. This will continue the trend of Phylion being just ahead enough to be giving us the new information while Oro is taking care
And
of checks he's already done.
the other thing is we missed it. There was a map check from Oro, and we have now full map information. We have that map for Palace of Darkness was a pendant.
Very cool. It's
So
it's
yeah,
it's nice when you get the 2 pendants right off the bat because once you after Saha talking to Saha, just get all 3. It's really nice. So at this point, all that's really matters is terms of getting our red crystals known, and we can get that info from the bomb shop owner.
yep. So this is a nice little advantage for Oro having gone for that map. We thought it might not come back as anything important, but that is probably the one map that matters.
Yeah, that really puts the pieces together quite well. So it could end up being a big deal. Like blind clearing a dungeon because you don't know what its prize is in this mode can end up costing you time, especially if you're in kind of like a sort of close to go mode state or even in go mode, but you don't know what all your prizes are. If you're missing just like 1 or 2 items, you may not focus on pendant dungeons when you still have crystals to clear and you can just get all the items in them and kind of save time doing things you should be doing, basically.
Yeah, the one thing I will say, for Fylion leaving Thieves and also kind of abandoning a lot of all their Dark World checks is just missing out on um, Smith Chain, even a start of Smith Chain for a Sick Kid check, Hype Cave being completely left behind, Stumpy. Like I'm really surprised by the decision.
Yeah, I wonder if this is a maybe feeling like they've already kind of like lost a little bit of time initially, and they're thinking, all right, I want to try to like play ahead in the logic and utilize these items I found and get more out of them because we haven't had the hook shot really turn into anything just yet. So this could be just that play right here, which we did find a mushroom. So have a fetch quest.
I did see in chat, saying that Aga's dead. I don't believe the pendant layout actually says Aga is dead, technically. Because technically, we could if we get mirror, it really comes down to oh wait, can it?
I think
No.
it depends on what our red crystals are.
Yeah.
Like if we get a red crystal swamp, then it's definitely not going to be a hammer
Yeah.
pyramid fairy.
Yeah, we're waiting on we're on that red crystal information, which hopefully we get from Oro soon.
Yeah, I think Oro's right in the area. We could get that very soon here. Or Mapsy they don't want. All right, Hype Cave, give us some good stuff. Come on. Well, it's a lot of money. Yeah, nope. Nothing happening here. It's pretty much a zero.
And finally, again, kind of riding this line of close to death, really, having to be careful here and just, burning that blue potion.
The other option you could have taken there I guess if you're worried about the dead rocks getting you, that's reasonable. But you could go back in and out of the cave. Swamp and Mire are the red crystals. So yeah, that kills Hammer and Pyramid Fairy right
Yep.
there.
I mean, in general, almost that kills Pyramid Fairy at this point from anything. I think the only things were really, possibly a Fire Rod in there, but definitely has knocked out a few extra things that could have been there.
Yet you're not going to see Samaria or a hammer or a mirror or a
Well, we
flute.
have a Samaria.
I mean, oh, you do have some more. Oh, it's in a. I've been looking
That
at
was on
different
Stumpy.
trackers. Yeah, that's right. I missed that, and I'm looking at different spots in the tracker because I've been looking at different trackers today. My apologies. So yeah, mirror and flute in particular would never be in Pyramid Fairy. So those are just a couple things that are yeah, it's practically dead, if not fully dead. We're touring a little more here. Oro has spotted another heart piece on the pyramid ledge. So turns up their nose to that and says no, thank you. And Super Bunny has a bug net, which is not necessarily a bad item in hard pool. Capping out at 14 hearts green mill. If you've got a spare bottle later in the game, you might just keep a fairy in that because late game damage can hit you really hard. Like you're in that threshold of like 2, 3, 4 hearts, thinking, "Oh man, should I heal? I've got like one potion left. I want to save it." And then like that fairy can save you if you take a really hard hit from like a roller or something.
Yeah, we saw that especially with the enemizer. Those can really a hard enemizer was kind of brutal in some of those regards. So,
Oh yeah,
but here we go with Hookshot Cave. See if the hookshot really has value today. Another bottle and $20. So really nothing coming off the mountain at this point. Mushrooms a possibility, but
Speak
nothing really for progress.
and speaking of bug net, suddenly there's a fairy drop off the berry there, and it's like, well, I guess I'll catch that. Sure, why not? Yeah, not really anything for that trip, and I that's at Phylion's place. You got to be thinking like, man, I just did a whole mountain climb and came up with like a couple of hearts on another bottle. It kind of feels bad.
Yeah, that really is not a good feeling, especially, abandoning Thieves Town, abandoning the Dark World loop. What could we have missed? And there's our first I think that's our first green 20.
I think that's our first green 20. Yeah.
So at this point that could have been, of course, that could have been silvers, that could have been armor. I
Yep.
think those are the only options we've really seen already.
We have yet to see even one shield, and of course we are still at one sword, so we're two away from the cap on that. Speaking of
Hey,
shields,
yeah. And I think for Oro, the play I would like here is probably a Thieves Town clear into Purple Chest right afterwards.
Might be listening to you 10 minutes ago. We'll see where they go. And looks like Phylion's going ahead and back into Thieves Town. Gonna take another crack at it. Got a little bit more health this time around, and a fairy in the pocket. It gives him a lot more survivability.
Yeah, I think, leaving and just clearing your head a little bit, it's not a bad idea. And I think that's, maybe that's what we saw from Fylion was just like, let me get away from this dungeon for a second and come back.
Yeah, there is a lot to be said for like if you take a couple deaths in a dungeon, you just put it off for a bit, go do anything else, and then come back with like a more level head, like a fresh mind at it, maybe a little bit more equipment, and you can just handle it. Yeah. So we'll be getting new information as soon as Phylline gets into the Thieves Town basement here and starts getting the rest of the checks down here. Again, we're leaving the big chest alone because they don't have the hammer unless it's down here, which is unlikely but possible. You never know.
Hey, we got a bunny sprite over on Oro's side. Zero Suit Samus becoming the little Metroid.
Third, third bottle. Yeah, third bottle there coming in empty.
And man, Thieves Town has really not been Phylion's comfort place on this seed so far. Really has just
Really,
been presenting problems across the board, unfortunately.
really hasn't. No, like it's just like the enemies just moving in dumb ways and giving them a lot of trouble. Like the blue Zezek stacking together. He tried to stun both of them, but they couldn't. It was rude. But I think he'll be okay here. We've got half magic cape for this blind fight, so if he gets off script, he's got a very excellent safety net to get this fight done.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd almost be tempted to put the cape on the whole time anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 3 hearts. You know you can take 1 hit for sure. And even if you do screw up really badly, you've also got that fairy. So now you activate the cape. Yeah, once you take 1 hit, you're in the 2. Because contact damage, I think, with the heads is what deals 2 damage, or blind's laser.
Yeah, anything with blind. And there's our book.
Ooh. Well, then.
Interesting. So we can't read either tablet, but we can get into desert. And we do know that's a crystal, so
And because we have the small key, we know that that book is not locked by a hammer in particular. So it's certainly in logic, at least at the top for the yeah, it's in logic. Or we're having a bit of trouble with the Thieves Town too, down to 2 hearts. Like this Thieves has just not been nice to either of them here.
yeah, this is a scary dungeon. You kind of forget about how rough this one can be, but Thieves Town is quite dangerous. The Zyzacs are your 2 heart. Of course, we get a fairy.
Yeah, nice fairy drop on Oro's side, keeping him alive just fine. Uh, we'll be getting up to the blind fight in short order for them too. And now Phylion's going to get his information on the red crystals.
Unfortunately, skipping that map still means no information on our last pendant.
Yeah, he gets a couple more crystals there. So there are, we know where one of those maps is that helps him. So I mean, assuming he finds the other 3 maps, he can narrow it down. But could end up being a situation where he clears pod, hoping for a crystal later on. We'll see.
Well, and even going into pod could prove beneficial here, just from the standpoint of, hey, I don't know that it's a pendant, and I just go in hoping something's there because it's a dense dungeon.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Pod has 7 items in this mode in particular. It's there's a lot of stuff to find in there.
Yeah, and with that bow, like most of it's in logic, so even if you're not clearing that dungeon, it's still decent. And it looks like that might be Phylion's plan here.
Yeah, we have
Didn't
access
pick
to it.
up, didn't pick up Jeremiah, so I have to believe this is a pod play.
Yeah, it seems like this is where we're going here. Yes, we have access to it by way of flippers, of course, so we can just swim over to East Ark World. And the pod route sucks a little bit because you're lacking both mirror and hammer, so you kind of it's going to be a longer trip to pod than if you had like all the ideal equipment for it. But At some point in this, you may just bite the bullet and say, you know what? Maybe the things I'm missing are in here, and I need to go just take a dive.
And on Oro's side, I like this play as well, saying, I got the book, let me pick up Purple Chest, I'll drop it off, drop off the lunchbox, and I'm just going to go straight from there into Desert Palace. I think this is equally as valid of a play right now.
I do like this, especially we do have the boots and a fire source, so we know that that is actually a clearable dungeon because we'll be able to access the keys no matter where they are. Oh, there's our other fire source, fire rod in purple chest. Oof.
Wow, that's a huge find on Oro's side right now. We do know we need that. Skullwoods is a crystal, so. And depending on where that mirror is, that could be a huge benefit for Oro. We talk about mirrorless Smith chain and how a lot of runners hate it.
Oh yeah,
So
it is a it's a thing that a lot of runners will put off very late if the mirror doesn't pop up because you hate to do it. It's not fun to do smith chain without the mirror at all. It takes a lot of extra time. We saw an immediate big key on Fylion side and pod, so we've got an immediately bow locked pod, which is not a problem. They've both found their one bow, so we're good to go on that aspect.
yeah, we've had that bow for a long time already.
Okay, we've got a small key in the back of desert here, the middle chest, the map chest. So we'll just be able to have the nice route of going right straight to the right side and then back across to the left. I like this divergence right now. We're getting good information on both sides here, which is kind of really what you like to see in a race situation. You like to get much information as fast as possible, so we can figure out the seed from our perspective.
Yeah, and I can defend. You could defend either play, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't look at one and go, "Oh yeah, this was the right play or the wrong play." So
Yep. You've got on Oro's side, you've got them. Oh, we forgot the fairy trying to death warp back to the beginning. Oof, I forgot that fairy too. So I
yeah,
mean, yeah. But on Oro's side, you've got a crystal dungeon that you know is fully clearable. It does have 4 items in it, 2+2 for the maps and compass. And then on the Fylion side, you've got a very dense dungeon. You don't know what the prize is, but it's 7 items. It's there's a lot of density here to be uh, obtained. Oh, there's the ice rod as well. Jeez.
oh my gosh, we're hammer away from the full TR.
Do we want the ice rod? That's a question.
But I mean, honestly, we're hammer away from a lot. Like hammer really does. Well, actually, hammer, mirror, and flute are what we're really missing. Potentially bombos.
Yeah, we still haven't seen whether either of our. Oh no, we do know ether for TR. I'm sorry, from Phylion's side. So we don't know about Meyer just yet because we won't know until we have the flute. And I think we've determined. Yeah, I think we determined that the big key chest in the front of pod is a small key. So we're gonna skip that entirely and move on to the back.
Yeah, and I think one of the other big things at this point, Oro being able to clear these dungeons, even if Fylion finds something really important here in the back of or in pod in general, how long does it take Oro to get there? I don't think there's a ton. Like Hammer locks a lot. Similar to how Mitz does, eventually like dungeons are just gonna be locked without Hammer.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, speaking of hammer, there
Speaking of
we
Hammer.
go. All right, so no doubt Fylion feels great about that because it's like, who goes to pod looking for a hammer? We do, apparently. They're waiting, they're checking the key count and be like, oh yeah, you gotta check Hellway here. The mirror's here too.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So I mean, on the plus side, I mean, great finds for Fylion. Hopefully that means, maybe we get that Smith chain soon. But the fact that, multiple dungeons are locked behind a doing pendant pod here does mean like it's very hard to believe Oro does not hit pod at some point and full clears it for both those items at least.
Yeah.
I
There's
think
only
the one thing we might not see from Oro is Helma, and we might get that from Fylion still.
Yeah, because Fylion does not know the prize of the dungeon, and if there is an item down there on the boss, he will most likely go for it. Yeah, he's going back in for it. Whereas on Oro's side, yeah, it's quite possible we see that pendant be skipped, especially when you come out of that with two strong items like hammer and mirror. That's really most of what you're looking for at this point in the game. So
So yeah, Oro up to 3 crystals to Phylion's 2. And Oro is going to get a 4th crystal momentarily while Phylion gets the pendant off of Helmasaur.
yeah, Oro's taking that fire rod and says, "You know what? I just got another crystal dungeon I can clear. Let's go straight for it," which is a pretty standard like routing philosophy. Just like always be clearing your crystals dungeons. So this is a very sound play. Then, of course, Phylium will get knowledge of this pendant here, and once he's obtained it from Helmasaur, we'll know that the rest of the dungeons are crystals, and he'll have his dungeon info fully figured out.
Yeah, and this really could be a huge play. If this is Flute, for example, like, wow, that kind of sets up things a lot better for Phylion. I think my one worry on Phylion's side is, possibly finding Bombos before finding Fire Rod. And of course, we are still only on Fighter Sword, so we do need at least one more sword tonight.
Yeah, the theme of the day in League here in Open has been like, where are the swords? Not coming out until late. Like the other race earlier today was the same deal. They had fighter sword for a lot of the race, so um, they're having to fight a lot of bosses with lower equipment, and of course they're on green mails. They have to be careful not to take too many hits. This is Siege is proving to be a bit challenging in the combat aspect.
Yeah, I mean, all the series in here in the Open playoffs are pretty much nearing that, third, fourth game zone, and of course nearing. We had a game 5 already decided to show itself, so some of these harder modes are starting to become the issue. But nice kill there on Oro's side for crystal number 4 as Phylion is against Helmasaur. Gonna have to be a little careful here. Down to half a heart.
Just get the cape out in time. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
like Helmasaur is stuck, is got transitioned lower in a room, so it's possible he can just shove you into the wall. Yeah, that cape throwing would be a very good tool there.
and nice double spin there to finish off Helma. And just 20 bucks. So unfortunately, the Helma kill really not necessary here.
But he now knows his dungeon information, and like I can't imagine he's feeling too bad about that. I mean, you came out of pod with hammer and mirror, two very big items to have found.
Yeah, and I think that brings you just straight to Swamp Palace for Phylion's side.
I don't see why not. Yeah, that's another crystal dungeon, and then Swamp in this case has a total of 8 items in it. It is really loaded in MC Shuffle.
Now, of course, with this being MC Shuffle, are you doing left side first trip?
Okay, so let's think. What is Phylion missing? He's missing 1, 2, 3 items definitely. 4. Well, if you count a second sword, yeah. I think you're in go mode -4 here. Potentially
Um,
5. You
I
do
was
it.
gonna say, is it 4?
Uh, no wait, no, I'm counting ice rod for some reason. Yeah, because you've got 1, 2, 3, 3 or 4, at least 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think even -3, you definitely just go straight for left side because it's very much more likely to have. I mean, it's guaranteed to have like 1 item on it, if not 2. So
And Oro immediately making the play over to Palace of Darkness area. I'm a little surprised, if I'm being honest. I thought maybe we see Oro do the mountain because we haven't seen the mountain at all. I feel like this is Oro saying, I don't need the mountain in the seed. Maybe I can avoid even going there once until the end.
or they're really holding off to if they want to do the mountain, they want to do everything in like one trip,
Yeah.
which includes having access to Hera. But yeah, if you can stay on the ground, not touch the mountain the whole seed, especially when you've got pendants for TR and Hera, like having one mountain climb in a whole seed is fantastic. That saves you a ton of time.
And question in chat, yes. At this point, Oro is up to 4 crystals to the 2 on Phylion's side. The big difference here, of course, is, the trip into desert and the purple chest for Fire Rod.
Yeah,
And
that fire rod is. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I don't have anything else really.
I was gonna say that fire rod really has enabled Oro, put Oro on a good path here. Getting a couple of crystals out of the way, and then saying, "Let's do pod next," which we know to be the absolute right choice. Because after Hammer and Mirror, they're going to be missing just a flute. They're actually going to be like and a second sword. So 2 items to go. It's going to be really in a good shape. Especially since after Mirror, they'll have access to another full clearable crystal dungeon, which has, again, 8 items in it. We're going to be getting a look at those items here from Phylion's side. He's getting into the actual meat of Swamp. There's our big key. You like to see that early so you don't have to come back for the big chest.
Yep.
And yeah, immediately for left side Swamp here. It's absolutely the reasonable thing to do here.
Yeah, we're short enough items on Phylion's side. And of course, without a boomerang or a longer sword, we have to use bombs to even set up or open that switch up.
Yeah, either bombs on the right side or like a bow shot from the bottom or something. Either way, it's a bit obnoxious to do. He got some blocked by the Stalfos enough, but now he's got to wait for the another bomb setup here. Jeez, really getting trolled by this room.
Yeah, and I gotta wonder, we talked about this with Thieves Town, is there some frustration building on Phylion's side?
Yeah, it's quite possible because your team's like playoff survival is riding on this game. You know you have to perform, and if you're making like little mistakes here and there, like one death, 2 deaths, there it adds up, and it might be getting to you.
And there is the hammer for Oro out of Palace of Darkness, is going to continue on for now. Should be getting that mirror as well momentarily.
If we count your keys in pod, you've got 2 in the back, so you know you check Hellway, and there's that mirror.
And Oro's thinking about it.
Thinking about it, yep. I think if you're Oro in this case, you do Dark Maze and probably call it quits. And Phylane just pulled a second sword from left side swamp, so that's good news for him.
Yeah, and really, if from Oro's standpoint, I think, go take care of, Swamp after this, and then I would head directly into Ice Palace as well.
Looking to set up a hammer jump here. I think they're too high. They're like a whole tile too high here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got the right pixel with the lineup, but yeah, you need to be 1 tile farther down. We're seeing Phylane employing that kind of Samaria to do some glitchy little jumps into the water, get underneath that, past that transition tile that puts you in the swimming state, and then you just pick up those chests and move on because the water really isn't real.
And I have to say, the that shovel's really. Oh wow, 2 swords in Swamp
Sword
Palace.
Palace.
I think we've heard so many times. Oh, there's always a sword in Swamp Palace. Apparently, there's 2 now.
So Oro will neither of these runners will be at want for a sword. Oro's getting 2 guaranteed swords here. Like we're good. There's gonna be no sword advantage heading into the late game here.
Yeah, as long as Oro doesn't Oro just decided to skip Helma, so
Which we know is the right call. Yeah.
I mean the only thing is, and I apologize for even uttering such things, but the dreaded Ped Seed is like
Possible. Yeah.
at this point. So
Unlikely but possible.
yeah. But no, the shovel for Fylion here in Swamp is a nice little bonus. Because it does, push Fylion to maybe do Smith Chain.
Yeah, that puts another check over in that area.
Of course, the other worry here is Fylion decides to do Bombo's tablet and shovel and K45 and maybe skips out on the Smith chain for a little bit. So I can't say for sure.
All right, so filing is done with swamp, and we're gonna head over. We've got 3 swords now suddenly, so we can go ahead and check out this Bombos tablet. And Oro made a quick little trip to the potion shop. Oh, Oro's gonna do ice first.
And here's the interesting thing here. If Flute is in ice, I think there's a chance we skip left side swamp and miss the tempered sword. We get
Yeah,
master sword for sure. But if Flute is here, I don't know when Oro comes back. Or like if Oro finds tempered sword now.
no, I mean, so unless you really feel like you're digging for a sword, so that depends on your go mode philosophy, right? Because if there's not a sword in Ice Palace, we'd have to find the last one here along with a flute. So it depends on how much you're willing to skip when you're missing a sword in go mode, like you're just sword mode, basically, whatever you want to call it. And that I've seen runners do it. Like they'll be a one sword. That's all they need is another one. They'll still do left side swamp because they're thinking it could still be relatively anywhere. But yeah, it's entirely possible. We get a flute in here. There's another green 20. That's probably. I mean, that's got to be the other armor or bow that we haven't seen.
Yeah. We're still not really decked out health wise.
No, we've got 9 on Oro's side, so we're not even close to getting the cap.
But finally on working through Desert Palace right now.
Blink and you miss it. Oro pulls off a really nicely executed icebreaker.
Yeah, really effective there. And we did see the use of that Quake Medallion, as you mentioned earlier.
Just make sure you use it when they're not in the air, because the Pengators do jump when they start their dive, and that will make them immune to the Quake Medallion as long as they're not on the ground. All right, let's see what we got here. Big key in the spike room, so we're gonna be able to just check the big chest on the way down. Violin's got his ice rod now, thinking about, man, why do I have an ice rod?
Yeah, I mean, only big difference here, or besides that fire rod, is the extra time Fylian spent on the mountain so far.
And if it does come down to, I mean, a mountain trip, then it's. I mean, Phylion's already cleared a lot of the mountain. There's not much else left up there for him to do. If it comes down to having to like dig TR for a flute or something crazy, whereas Oro would have the entire mountain to do. So there's still some time difference to be considered there. Got just a
And we,
bomb pack and iced tea, so not much happening in Ice Palace.
yeah, you see a blue item, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's it. No.
Not the blue thing we want to see. No.
Although I think we've gotten all the keys out of ice, so
Yeah.
there is an item on Colts there.
And we saw Oro also take a pit stop to the potion shop before heading into ice, which is very reasonable play. So you know they've got potions in the pocket with plenty of magic and health refills available. But they're actually going to take the refill room over here and get a little bit more magic just to get topped off for the fight. I don't blame them. This is going to be a tough fight with just Master Sword. Or, just
Yeah,
Fighter Sword.
yeah, can't even get the duplication with the with sword beams either. So
And while Phylon is showing the Lambos who's boss with tempered spins, takes him down in just a couple cycles, gets his big 20 and a crystal.
and that does tie back up the crystal count here.
All right, so now we have Oro getting into the cold stare fight. We're gonna still try to get it in the. Ooh, didn't get the stim was a bit early to get him into the corner, so we're gonna see a lot of fire rod usage here. Gets 2 puffs down already. That's very good. Ooh, do be careful.
Yeah, I was about to say we're gonna definitely see a potion use here. Just had to
Yeah,
wait until the explosions were done, but
it's
2 quick fire rod shots after done.
it's terrifying when cold stare. There's our bombos. All right, well, we coin collection complete. It's terrifying when cold stare is exploding, like one of the puffs is blowing up and the other two are bearing down on you and the ice is dropping, and you really want to heal because you have one heart, but you can't. It's very, very terrifying. I've been there. It sucks. All right. Oro is done with Ice Palace. We are out of there. Save and quit. Probably heading to Swamp next. Can't imagine you want to do anything else unless you're really hoping to have a Go Mode Swamp, but I think you're missing still 2 items at this point. Just, yeah, you go to Swamp. So,
Yeah, clear your crystal, hope that you find the flute, and I don't see a world after this where Oro doesn't just go mountain.
yeah, I mean, there's
Like,
so much on the mountain left at this point. It's been calling for so long. Like, even with just like the myth and hook shot, it's been calling for a while.
yeah, I think, getting the swords, having like I probably do Hera first, hoping maybe Hera bails me from the rest of the mountain, or like at least from TR, but like I don't see how you don't go mountain after this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Hera definitely before TR because like Hera's a more of a, definitely a quick dungeon compared to having to dig into Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock does have more items in total in it, but it takes a while to get to those items. You have to get all the key, like most of the keys up front. And like it's laser bridges where most of the density is in Turtle Rock. Whereas Hera, they're kind of just like you can do a quick Hera pot and get most of the items in really short order.
Yeah, and the other thing we haven't seen is that shovel yet from Vylian out of swamp. So I'll be curious, do we find out, do we find that it's there? Vanilla flute, maybe.
Yeah, Vanilla Flute would be really quite the item in this situation. But it'd be easy to see Oro do those checks after Swamp here, because you're right in that area. You're already in the Dark World. You can do like a K45 Bombos tablet, not in that order, but yeah, and then get that shovel check done as well.
Oh yeah, we haven't
Oh,
even seen K45 yet.
oh wait, Oro doesn't have the shovel. My apologies.
We'll get it here though.
All right, it's in Swamp. Okay, for a second. Curse my memory, not remember things are. My bad. Okay, so yeah, Phylion's gonna make this trip with the purple chest, and yeah, we'll get a look at K45 and the shovel. And where's that flute? Is it vanilla? Let's find out.
First up, K45, and that is just $50, so it is not there.
We have more than enough money for whatever else we could possibly need in this seat, so no need to grab that. Marith, those 2 swords are here in Swamp Palace. It is the Sword Palace today.
Yeah, left side had one, and then the waterfall chest, or was it diver down, had the other.
Yeah, it was in the flooded room. Yeah, or no, well, it was Waterfall. No, you're right. And Aura was hooking to the left. We are definitely seeing a left side swamps. There will be no sword advantage in this seed whatsoever. Again, with that situation of I can't hit this sword over the barrier. I've got to do something else. I'm just gonna put a bomb on it.
But here we go, Fylion about to get the fire rod. And maybe we just see a run. I was gonna say, we're gonna see the run over to ice after this, I would think. Yep.
Yep, you have access to Ice Palace, and that's a reasonable play to make. Go straight for it. Oro having a bit of trouble with the fire snake getting in the way. Had to wait for it to clear out before he can drop the block and get into the water.
Now, the one thing I did notice there with Fylion was a couple extra pauses. I'm curious if, like, did Fylion kind of forget pendant crystal situation potentially? Just
Yeah,
had to double check real quick. Like, wait, what do I know?
yeah. I
Do
wonder
I
if, or
need
maybe
ice?
yeah, if that's a contemplation of I just got like a big item fire rod that unlocks like 2 dungeons. What do I do first? Maybe. and then thinking like, all right, well, ice is a crystal. We're in the area. We can run for that first because there was an instinct to save and quit and go like right for Skull Woods, but you're like, and thinking, wait, I'm in the area of ice. I can do that too. All right, and there is Oro's second sword in left side swamp. After their third sword in the waterfall chest, we're going to be pretty synced up in terms of inventory. There's some minor differences, but for the most part, we're looking at just needing that last major item being the flute for our actual go mode.
Yeah, and at this point, we know that the medallions are in a situation. We do have the old fire locking fire here in Ice Palace with Bombos on cold stairs, so you know it really is just a flute situation. And to anybody who's joined us a little bit late, we are just over an hour in. This is game three between Zelda and Chill and Elf. As it stands right now, Zelda and Chill is up 2 games to nothing. So if Zelda and Chill wins, they move on. So Elf needs to get the reverse sweep at this point to advance to the conference semifinals.
Yep. If you're on Oro's side, you know this could be just the end of the series. You can not have to worry about your game 4 and 5, and you get a nice few days of break while you wait for the rest of the conference to resolve, and then you get to know who your next opponent will be.
Yeah, I think we've only had one series in the they're part of the Dark World Conference actually get settled already, so still a lot to decide at this point.
Yeah, we've got two in the top half. The In Rob We Trust, Bottles of Empty have taken their series, but then yeah, in the bottom half where this team resides as well, we've got only one pairing has been resolved just yet. So there's still a lot to be determined for how the reseeding into the conference semifinals will go. Like you really can't say who your opponent's going to be just yet.
Yeah, and I'm definitely taking a glance over at chat every so often tonight. I do see a lot of runners from not just these teams, but from other teams within Dark World Conference. Piping in and taking notice. You're definitely wanting to scout some of the teams you might be seeing later.
All right, so Oro is done with Swamp. Attain another crystal here. Is going to go ahead and make these reasonable checks over here. Got the mirror and everything. We'll check out the Bombos tablet. And Phylon's got their blue bombs from the Ice Tea check and ice. Hook shot it back across. I love this room in Ice Palace. It feels like they very much intended it to come back through it with a hook shot and just get that nice, easy like 2 hook shot use to get back through it.
I'm honestly surprised we saw neither runner take the play, dropping through like the big spike room to get to Ice Tea. I
Yeah.
feel like that's such a common play anymore when you get the keys to work out on Icebreaker.
Yep. It's. I think that might come down to comfort with the freezer room bomb jump, perhaps. Which is a free bomb jump from the right side if you know that you can just nudge yourself into the corner. But yeah,
Yeah, I was about to
perhaps
say,
it
out of
could be
all the
that.
bomb jumps of Ice Palace, it's definitely the easiest one.
It should be one that you know you can do for free. Yeah. Here comes Phylion's cold stare fight, just bullying these puffs around you. You've got enough fire rod shots to go around and a tempered sword just going all ham on this fight in short order. It's done. Easy.
Now, Oro did go back into Dark World. I figured we were gonna get the shovel check first, but is there another check that Oro wants to make before going mountain? Do we see Graveyard Ledge potential here?
Um, Maybe. I think if you're doing Graveyard Ledge, you just go from Sank, or is it going to be faster to run up from here?
I mean, you'd have to get back into Dark World. Oh, hammer pegs. This could be hammer pegs into
Oh,
Graveyard
right.
Ledge. Oh wow, this could actually work out really nicely for Oro to kind of knock out these last few little checks.
That's true. We haven't seen the rest of the Smith area from Oro's side, so this is turns into kind of a nice fluid line to knock out the rest of it. And then you can actually, yeah, chain that into Graveyard Ledge, which is very much isolated at this point. Both runners have access to it, but you've got to at some point make a play to actually go for it.
Yeah, and really, this is just going to come down to who finds this flute first. I would have to say, with it being looking like it's going to be on the mountain, very likely TR at this point or Hera. Well, those are really the only two major spots left. If it's in Turtle Rock, I think Fylion actually might have a little bit of an advantage here.
Yeah. Um. Oh, is this what's Oro up to here?
I'm not sure.
Running around.
Is this a ped check?
This could be a ped check. I have to. That's the only thing that's back here. Yeah, I have to think you're going to look to read ped. This is a like a safety information play. Phylion's going to be able to do this as well. Conveniently, like when you're in the back of Skull Woods, you can, after killing Moth, do this read if you want to see what it says, which you probably should at this point. Yeah. All right, chat.
Yeah.
Here's your moment. That is a map. Don't get excited about that. That is a specifically a map of Hyrule Castle. That is nothing. So Ped is officially dead, and Oro's going to get back into Dark World here, and will presumably head down for over to Graveyard Ledge.
Yeah, we're tied up on the crystal count. So I think at this point, Fylion may have actually taken a slight lead. Just in terms of checks. Although, do the orphan checks on Phylion's side potentially, send him elsewhere? I can't say for sure.
Yeah, it's because at some point you have to now, like you said, it's probably looking like it's going to be on the mountain, based on where most of our remaining checks are. At some point you have to go back up there, but do you clean up the rest of what's going before you make the jump?
Yeah, and like at this point, what do we have? You know, Graveyard Ledge is our last non-mountain check. We haven't seen Mushroom turn in actually. At least I don't think we saw Fylion turn in that mushroom.
I don't believe so either.
And it's
So
not
Graveledge
Graveyard
is
Ledge.
just a heart piece. I think Oro has yet to. Let's see, what's Oro headed to? Oh, has Oro not done? I don't think Oro doesn't done Catfish. Or where are
No,
you
we
going?
saw we saw a full Froggy World tour on Oro's side.
Oh, that's right.
I gotta believe this is Death Mountain, but
Oh yeah, Oro hasn't been up the mountain yet. That's true. So we still have to go through the cave here.
yeah, I'm just surprised we went back into Dark World for this.
Yeah, could have saved a few seconds with the mirror transitions, but so be it.
Yeah, and I think Fylion is actually making the alternative play here to do Catfish and potentially a Pyramid Ledge.
Yeah, this is I think if you're on Oro's side here, this is good news for you, because like I think at this point you're fighting for seconds, and like this is going to come down to really who finds the flute on the mountain first. And Oro has a lot of options to choose.
Yeah, and and the mushroom check. So we're also getting that from Fylion. So this is a really interesting, if it is this, then the double dip of the mountain is required. Well, I think either way it's required. Nice use of the mirror bonk there to do this mushroom check.
And that's just a green 20. Nothing exciting there. We got a blue
Uh,
bomb pack inside Spec Rock.
Yeah, and Oro is going with the mirror, so we might get an early check of Hera and at least Ether Tablet.
Yeah. I think when you've got a we're doing Spike Cave right off the bat too. Yeah, okay. Maybe not with that many hearts deciding now, never mind.
I mean, we've got both Blue Cane and Cape and Half Magic, so not the worst idea.
Yeah, I
But
think
here
if
we
you're gonna
go.
well, I think if you do Spike Cave, you can work it in after these two if you want. Like it's kind of an anytime check, really. But let's see, is it Ether Tablet? No, that's a map. All right, into Hera we go. So Hera like could be the big possibility here. We haven't seen any of this from. This is stuff that Fylion hasn't done, and we know Fylion didn't find the flute on the mountain. Obviously, they've checked a lot of it. So this for Oro's sake, like this is good because you're doing stuff that you don't know your opponent hasn't done, but they haven't. It looks like we're going to see a very quick Hera pot here. Looks like the big key's in the basement. Oh, we're going to just get the big key. All right, this is pretty reasonable actually because you don't want to leave it anywhere. No? Or was that
Maybe.
accidentally going on the door? Oh, we're skipping here? Oh no. Hmm.
I,
I don't like this.
it's hard. I understand Oro's mindset on this one. I feel East Death Mountain is, you've got your 7 paradox, you've got your spiral cave, you've got your 4 hook shot, you got your 2 super bunny. Like, you just have so many better choices, I feel like, on this side of the mountain versus Hera right now.
Yeah, this I wonder if I had to be just like a moment of indecision. Like, do I really want to be in Hera right now? I guess not. Um, but Fylion still has castle. I mean, it's been so
We
long since he's
talked
in the front
about
of
this one
castle,
so long
but like
ago.
Fylion is just now getting into front of castle, knocking out some of these like sphere one checks, and you got to think like, man, feeling bad. Like, man, have I been missing a flute here the whole time? I mean, we know he hasn't, but he doesn't know that. And that just comes down to like what people have been talking about sometimes in terms of open, like when do you route castle? Like at some point you have to do it probably. If there's anything in here, you gotta pick a moment to do this. This dungeon that doesn't even have a prize associated with it.
And yeah, this is pretty much evening up this race. Like, Oro is clearing out the mountain just as Phylion's about to get that Zelda cell. So they're almost going to be on Death Mountain, like probably heading into Turtle Rock almost simultaneously.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if they're going for TR, if they're committing to TR for the flute, then they're gonna be really close here.
And there we go. Phyllion finishing up in Hyrule Castle. Yep, here's the mountain. So we are going to have simultaneous runners on the mountain. Pretty much. The question is, where does Phyllion go first?
Meanwhile,
This is
Oro was
Hera.
Yeah, going right for Hera. This is what Oro decided they didn't want to do. Um, Kind of last second decision to skip out on Hera. Could be also a spike cave check immediately, but yeah, probably going up for the density first. Yeah,
Yeah, at least Ether Tablet. That's your quickest check. And then I think Hera. I don't know. It's a tough one. Um, I almost feel like if you're in this spot, you're like, well, I'm gambling one or the other. I've been really good up to this point, feeling pretty thorough, and I know Flute's in a bad spot. Which one is it? And if I guess right, am I okay? If I guess wrong, is it over? And yeah, didn't really call it out there, but Fylion really nice spin, hook, bomb, speed, climbing up the mountain there. Like that was ridiculously fast.
yeah, that was a really fast climb. Like he's at this point, he's like, I gotta go really fast as possible. He's
Yeah.
just getting up the mountain as soon as gotta go, saving all the frames.
And realistically, at this point, we are tied, okay, on
Yeah,
checks. They have checked everything the same. The only difference is that Fylion is now into Hera basement. Oro coming back for Hera. Wow.
oh, okay.
Or is yeah, this is Hera. Okay.
Yep, this is Hera. So we're gonna be in this dungeon at the same time here. Now, does Oro say skip the basement, do a Hera pot, go up and try to find it faster? I I kind of hope so at this point, but we'll see. Yep, this is looking for the hook shot. Just menu for it at that point. We're
Yeah.
gonna super speed Hera pot. So if it's Hera big chest, like wow. And we've got a fall back to the bomb setup. I kind of understand. Like there's got to be nerves like crazy at this point.
Well, and surprisingly, Fylion going with just the vanilla climb.
Actually, not Herapotting. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
giving some time back to Oro. They're both entering the fourth floor at basically the same time. Oro's slightly closer to the check. That is the compass of Skull Wood. That's not what we want. All right, moment of truth. Is it the Hera big chest? That's a blue thing, but not the one we want. Or was it just a little bit ahead, getting up to Moldorm here? If it's not on Moldorm, then
Does Oro go back in
d-
for big
does
chest?
does or I don't know. That's I think
I
if
feel like
I
you
think
have to. It's dead to you at
this
this point.
late you have to bail on it. This late you have to say if it's there, I've just lost. Like I've already
Yeah.
skipped it once. I can't lose that. I can't take more time. 10 arrows on Moldorm. No. Green pendant though. Oh my god, if it's green pendant, this seat is stupid. Who checks green pendant first? I don't think either of them check green pendant with before TR, do they?
Okay, Oro is leaving. Are we gonna see Spike Cave or TR though?
We're gonna get mirror bonked first.
Of course. TR.
Yeah, okay.
And the same play from Filing. We are going to be on top of each other into Turtle Rock.
This is a dead sync at this point. Like, if they find a fluid in TR, this is now dead rock RNG for both of them.
Oh my god.
If I find a fluid in TR, this is gonna be literally seconds apart, and this could come down to GT routing at this point. This race is extremely close. Man, there were points in this race in which we could comfortably say like, all right, this player has a lead. Like Oro had a good lead at some point, and Fylion looked to have a good lead at some point, but now they're just dead tied up. Like this has come back in such a way.
Yep, both runners opening Turtle Rock at the same time. Filing going to be a few seconds ahead. But yeah, that 128 or 121.28, 121.33 for Oro. So like a 5 second difference here.
Yeah, mere seconds apart. At this point, you can't skip anything. Like you are full clearing this dungeon meticulously as possible until you come up with that flute. So it's not like we don't see any gambles in here.
Well, we're seeing a slight route divergence, about as much as you can have one in Turtle Rock, as Oro goes right side while Philion goes to the left. I mean, there's two chests here.
It's
Possibly a
a,
little bit of value.
it's a little bit faster if you have a mirror to go to the right side, mirror back. I think it saves about a second or two. Well, there's a map. We don't need that. And a heart. We've actually got 2 items on the right side. Wild. So we're looking at a vanilla big key in TR, which you check lava chest anyway in this situation, so it doesn't really matter.
And we're both in the main room at the same time. And you're right. It looks like Oro's routing might have saved a little bit of time here. Although I do know finally it had a
Oh,
little bit of, oh
oh no.
no, Red Stalfos, bully.
Got bumped off the platform, so we're giving a few seconds back in Phylion's favor now. They're just gonna be minor executional changes back and forth that can happen. Oh, don't get bullied by chomps.
Especially at this point, only down to 2 hearts. Those chomps will kill you with one tap now.
Yep, they bite for 4 on Green Mill. They are very, very deadly. Or we're having a bit of an easier time there, gaining a couple seconds back on Phylion. Getting through the tubes. Yeah, Oro has a... I don't know what Phylion's bottle situation is. I don't know if he has a fairy. I want to say he doesn't.
The fairy we had from Phylion's side was used accidentally in pods, so
That's right.
I don't think we caught another one since.
I don't think so. So he's got to be careful here. He's employing the cape on purpose, which is a very good idea. Or was that's perfect actually. That's exactly how you want that room to go. You get the spin on the pokey on the right side, and then you can just do the tube while your bunny beam wears off. That's beautiful RNG actually.
And Oro hitting the switch, I don't think it's really going to be a benefit on this one, just because we're going to have to go to get the big chest and
Yeah,
Mimic
you're
Cave. So
yeah, you're dipping out of the dungeon at this point. Ooh, beautiful double pokey
I was going
RNG
to
too.
say, yeah, that
Oh,
is
love it.
just so perfect on the RNG, and Oro getting the exact opposite.
Some of these rooms, like in TR, like you can gain a few seconds just by getting the right RNG. That's proving beneficial for Fylion here. Doing the thing where you check big chest first and then mirror to mimic.
And both runners going for that strat.
Fix pokey RNG, please. No, red boomerang. That's the wrong item and the wrong color. We want blue things.
Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Are you saying red boomerang's bad?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's
Oh,
not the
good.
item we're looking for.
Whew.
It's not a flute. You can't play you I mean, can you play music on a red boomerang? I mean, if you can, I think that's quite the talent.
It's a percussive instrument.
There you go. All right, so Phylid still got a lead of a few seconds. You're heading into Crystal Roller. Another green 20. Those are coming out in droves at this point. You're at 13 hearts, so that runners either have like a small number of heart pieces or one final heart as their last 14th heart. That 14th heart very well could be the Sank heart too. I don't know if we've seen it on either side.
I don't remember seeing it, so that would not surprise me at this point.
Because the Sank heart is still left in the pool, so you can. I think it's pretty common to actually see that be the last one. Or Phylane did stop off to take on the little island on the right side to grab a couple hearts on the magic refill. So Oro doesn't take that. We've got a few seconds gained. Yep. Just that lead diminishes just ever so slightly. All right, here's Laser Bridge. Laser skips could come down to giving us a bit of a time advantage. Where's it going to be? That's 10 arrows. We don't want that. That's a big 20. We don't need that. That's 10 bombs. Blue, but not the item. Let's go kill Trinex. Both runners making use of their invincibility items. We were given both of them in a half magic so early. It's been really nice in this hard pull scenario to just make use of those invulnerability items anytime we need them.
Yeah. Especially with half magic for this one.
Yeah. And you get that free full refill right before Trinex. You have no magic troubles whatsoever. Oh,
Oh no! I don't think we did not get safety door on
oh
Oro's side. So that's
no.
gonna send Oro back to the big chest.
That's in the middle. Yeah. That hurts.
To Amerith's question, we have not seen Spike Cave yet.
Yeah, that's definitely our next check. I think we knew before you leave the mountain, you get Spike Cave.
Nice kill of Trinex there for Fylion. Is this our flute though?
No, green 20.
I think we're down to Green Pendant or Spike Cave.
I don't think there's anything left, or it could be the. No, it's not the Hera big chest. Phylane looked at that one. Yeah, it's not even in Hera. Let's go to Spike Cave real fast. Phylane's definitely got a bit more of a lead, though. That unfortunate pokey death sets Oro back a good deal here, relatively speaking.
And realistically, this is still within Meyer routing and GT routing.
Yeah,
Those are two sets of checks. Finding those big keys is not insignificant, and a little bit of a decision here or there through that could make all the difference.
yeah. Despite this race on the mountain, don't forget we still have a crystal dungeon to clear. We are not done. We've got one more crystal to get in Meyer, and Yeah, Myers Big Key can be elusive. There it is in Spike Cave. Oh man. I I I have to wonder if Aura was thinking about Spike Cave earlier and was gonna do it if they got a fairy from the bushes. Oh man. That could have been huge. But as it is, we're gonna get them not too far behind here. There's still possibility for this to go either way.
Yeah, as long as Oro goes directly to Spike Cave after this and not Green Pendant check and not Hera Basement for the big key.
Alright, this is Oro getting out of Turtle Rock, gonna head on over to Spike Cave as well. And Fylin's gonna be the first one to head down to the mire area. We're gonna try to go as screaming fast as possible. You know every second counts at this point.
Exactly.
Especially when it being this late. Like, you have to think in this situation, like, what if my opponent did Spike Cave earlier? Like, because you could see a play for just like the west side of the mountain, like maybe even really early, like because the mountain did kind of become available, and you think like, what if they just did Spike Cave as like a one-off check because it's not that hard to get to by itself.
Yeah, and
Like
this is a
it
quicker
could be,
check than any of TR would have been. So
yeah,
I think for both of our runners, that thought has to be there. Like, man, did I really screw up not checking this?
yeah. Like I mean, for both of them, that's an effective last location, but like you got now at this point you're sweating bullets and thinking, man, how far behind am I right now? Like you thinking like I'm getting a Myra, they're probably climbing GT. I just gotta try my hardest.
Well, that's the thing. Both runners did have some execution moments tonight. Unfortunately for Oro, that came really late on Laser Bridge. And or sorry, right before the Trinex fight, and for Fylion, Thieves Town. So like I think both of them have that kind of thought of, not only did I nearly last locate my flute, or pretty much last locate my flute, I've had some execution things tonight that usually are not.
Yeah, and no doubt that's in both of their minds. They're thinking about every little mistake they've made, everything that could have cost them time against their opponent. Um, yeah, just try to go fast at this point. Try to shake off the nerves. And there's our Mire Big Key on the bridge. So this is actually just a very easy Mire. That Big Key is not hard to find.
No, and there's no way you don't get that before checking anything else. So really a convenient mire here.
There'll be no real time difference in Mire itself. Actually, Oro could gain a slight amount of time if they check bridge before Spike, but not really that much difference.
Yeah, and this really will just come down to GT at this point. There's really not a there's not a different, there's enough of the runners are close enough that GT routing is it.
Oro got bopped by the Beamos in exactly the right spot to throw off the really good Mire 2 rhythm, but still made a good show of it. And Phylene is now in the Hera basement. I saw Oro set up for Spooky. I didn't see if Phylion did. Did they get it? No, he did not. Oh, there it is. Okay, good.
And Oro also checking the spike chest first, hoping for a pure God Mire.
Yeah,
I don't blame either runner going for spike chest first, hoping for the absolute godliest of God Mires, and unfortunately, just not the case. It is a hover God Mire though.
oh yeah, if you can hover this one, you say, well, go for it from right here. And of course, this is a very safe, victorious fight. You have cape and half magic, and you can just get in there and do a bunch of spins on the eyes, knock out the big one with a bunch of arrows, and we are now 7 crystals on Phylion side. You know what time it is.
We're done the seed, right?
Almost.
Oh darn. But yes, we have 22 chests in Ganon's tower, and one of them houses the big key. So put your guesses in chat. Unfortunately, as always, no bots or anything, but hey, internet fame.
I'm going to go with my usual number of 18. That's what I always guess, and I will continue guessing it until the end of time.
And really, any check is equally likely as any other.
We'll see if Oro. I believe Oro did a good job of preserving Spooky State and gets the hit. There we go. Nicely done.
Nice.
I didn't talk much about Spooky, but it's a function of the altitude variable. When you flute to mire, you do a very specific way of walking over to the rock, and when the where the duck leaves the screen, it sets the altitude variable to a very specific spot. And the fire rod's splash damage positioning relies on the altitude variable, and you can basically hit the fire rod with certain things, and the aura from that moves north, and it can actually hit things that are disjointed, basically. So you can use it to hit crystal switches that way. A very cool bit of tech that came out from last year.
And another nice little piece here from Oro. Not a ton of magic, but if you just park yourself with the cape on, and just keep slashing, the magic will not drain very quickly.
Yeah, the magic drain is tied to to a specific like part of the sprite set, like an animation thing. So if you're doing sword slashes, the cape does not drain while your sword is out. It's this game is interesting.
Yeah,
All right,
the game just
Phylin is gonna
works.
the game certainly does work, but we love it for all its flaws.
So, Fylion about to enter GT. We will try to keep track on that timing. 1:35:40 roughly
It's a
is
nice
the
even,
yeah.
yeah. And Oro is on their way up, having gotten that seventh crystal in basically about the same amount of time as Phylin did. Nice powder on the torch. That's going to be an excellent safety item for the climb.
Yeah, definitely picking up that. No way do you skip the powder right there.
When GT offers you the best safety item in the game, being able to convert anti fairies into 7 hearts for free or relative free, like just a little bit of magic, you take it every time. All right, check number 2 is a small key. 3 is our blue boomerang. That's nice to have for the GT basement. You can do a little bit of stuff with that with hitting the switches on the left side. And through 5, we're at nothing. And Phylion's going to take the Stealthos room strat and head to the right after going just to that room first. Or is now in the Dark World, heading on over, trying to get there as fast as possible. Check number 6 is a small key. It's number 7, also a small key. So we got 2 keys in Hope Room. There's a possibility to go Hope right, and if it's in Compass Room, Orb gets a bit of time back.
Yeah.
The typical play is pretty like the kind of the standard play is to check Hope Room first, and if you get a small key, you head into Compass Room directly, and if not, then you just like go to the left, and then I guess at that point you can opt for a Compass Room if you find a small key from the Stalfos room. But we'll see what Oro
We have a
does.
1:37:10 from Oro, so it's about a minute and a half difference right now.
Oro's also going left first. There it is in Compass Room.
So if you
So
did a full right, or if you went Hope first and used those two keys to head to the right, you could pick up some time here. Unfortunately, Oro going left, hopefully setting up for a Dark Magician strat.
hopefully for their sake, otherwise we are in for a different kind of suddenly a different race. Yeah. Not killing an Estalfos. I believe this is going to be a 3-click swap left of the mirror. There it is. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, this route has been very popular lately. I've watched a lot of, at least among the races I've watched in League, a lot of runners do like it.
Yeah, and I think we saw it actually earlier today make a difference in a race where there weren't keys in Hope Room, and I want to say one runner did go Hope and went full left, and the other went, you know, with DM strats, and that was a huge advantage.
Yeah, I mean, because it turns out Compass just has your big key, and then you just gain a significant amount of time as opposed to doing the standard route of like, or if you just go full left, even at that rate. Yeah. We're having a little bit of trouble getting these blocks in the right places. There you go.
That's why I love kicking the block.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's very satisfying to do, and it puts it in the right spot every time. There's that key. Go go go.
Not sure what Oro might have been looking for there. We are at maximum health and maximum everything. Like, you're not finding anything better at this point.
Exactly, yeah. So Fylion is already done with Gauntlet, is into the Lambo 2 fight, getting a very nice one cycle. Well done.
Yeah, Fylion really kind of showing a lot of the NMG types skills that you'd want to have for this. Hard mode being pretty much NMG.
Or using the manipulating these mimics in the right places to get bow shots on without having to have them fire back. And we're getting into the Gauntlet in short order here. Phylion's now getting into Torches 1. This is that first lamp shot. It's a double back and bail. Wait a second.
Nice dash there in the spike room from Oro's side as well.
Like now into Torches 2. Stops off to take the magic refill to make sure you have enough for this room. And we're not wanting anything we hear. We got 3 keys, and there's nothing we can find on the climb that'll help us out. So we're going to just skip everything, get there as fast as possible.
Yeah, Fylion really putting on a clinic here of this GT climb. I didn't say anything, I swear.
Oro did have a very good Gauntlet 4 and 5, though, from what I did.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch both of them at the same time, but the Gauntlet 4 and 5 was still very well executed. They're getting through this as fast as they can. And then also a very nice one cycle on the Lambo 2. Islands through Moldorm 2, only taking 1 fall, losing a little bit of time there. Probably feels terrible at this point in the race, but we know he's got just a bit of a lead still. Just enough of a lead.
Yeah, I mean, both of our runners are like any little thing at this point, you know. I just have to move.
Exactly. You can't let it get to you. Any little thing, like you just got to play hard, get to the top as fast as you can here. Don't get shaken by it. Look at the Saga 1, the Saga 2 first cycle. Look at this second cycle. What is going on here?
And not a single blue ball in sight.
No, that's awfully very nice. There it is, but it's a little bit late. Get 3 cycles down. Pretty easy, Aga 2. Oro's through Torches 1. Getting up the stairs. You know you have enough magic to get Torches 2, no problem. And Fylion will be dropping into the Ganon fight in just mere seconds here.
Yeah, and as long as this holds as is at this point, it looks like we will be seeing a game 4 in this series.
Getting a 2-cycle phase 1 on Phylion's side, and we're now into phase 2, which is with Cape Half Magic is very easy to take care of.
Yeah, nice and quick phase 2 there. As Oro is about to enter into Aga 2.
Phase 3, we've got actually a very nice Ganon. He's not applying very many optional teleports at all.
Yeah.
Spin to win. Let's go. 12 spins.
I love the new text options there.
I am very thrilled every time I see a new one. They're all very good.
Meanwhile, Oro takes down Aga 2, so about to be in that Ganon fight as well.
Ryland's making Silverless look easy here, keeping on a good pace. Cut a little bit close to that last fire bat, but still good here. And it's actually been really nice with the positioning too, kind of letting that rhythm stay true. Ooh, misses that one just barely.
Yeah, it's really going for these triples, just missing it probably by a little bit each time, unfortunately.
No doubt there are a ton of nerves here that are making the
Yeah,
rhythm just like a little bit hard to pull off, but that's it. Phylion's gonna take this game, this third game here, and take this series into a fourth game. Get your GGs in chat.
and there we go, finally crossing the bridge and finishing with an official time of 1:44:23. Meanwhile, Oro just working through into phase two right now, saving magic at this point. So
Yeah, just making sure they've got enough to finish the fight out. Which I mean, if your fire bat dodges are good, you don't have to worry about it. By all means, go for it.
yeah, it's just gonna be really convenient at times to be able to, you know, go with that ensured one cycle phase two.
Exactly. Yeah. Gets the spin to win message, and then we just got a total of 12 tempered spins and knock out the pig. This is pretty much the ideal fight for this sort of hard mode thing. You've got your tempered sword. You're never going to get silvers, so you got to make sure you're good at silverless Ganon because it's going to be an absolute requirement for these hard pool power modes. Ooh, just missed the torch shot there. Should be able to get it on this one here. Yeah.
Should be only a couple of spins left. And there we go.
That is Oro also finishing up. We're going to get them across the bridge in just a few seconds here. And then we will get an official time from the race room of 1:46:24. So just 2 minutes and 1 second apart. What a race.
Yeah, just about 2 minutes difference overall. That's a really close race overall. Um, and both runners really full clearing these seeds. I'll be really interested to see the CRs on this one.
Yeah, they're going to be quite a bit. I also don't blame them if they take a minute or two to get up here because you've probably had one of the most tense races
Yeah,
of your life here, and you may need a little bit of a break before you jump in the interviews. I understand that entirely.
but I do see both of our runners in the waiting room, so we should be able to talk with both of them today, as we are now joined by both Fylion and Oro. GGs.
Yo, GG's, Oro.
GG's Violin.
Uh, uh,
Well,
wow,
that was a
that
seed.
happened. That happened. Sorry, I know, like, I finished 12 minutes ago. I'm still walking around from the tension I was on.
Oh
I,
yeah,
I spent probably about an hour and 40 minutes almost thinking that my team was out today. So I'm still not recovered from that. Oro talk.
I don't know. That whole seed was a mess. I felt really good when I found the hammer and the mirror, and then I just felt terrible with every single check I made that wasn't the flute because like it felt like
Ye-
I don't know. It felt like so good to have the hammer and the mirror when I did, and then it's like, oh, great, flute go mode, and it's like, oh god, I have the entire world to clear.
Yeah. I hate, I mean, you do too, I think. I hate seeds like this where it's just like, well, roll the die, hope you get it before your opponent does. And in that respect, I was kind of glad it ended up in kind of a stupid spot that no one prioritizes because when I found it there, I was at least like, well, maybe they put it off.
I almost did that when I like first went up the mountain because I didn't go up the mountain until I had both the mirror and the hammer, and I almost went just straight up to Hera, check Hera, and then down into Spike Cave before I went to the other side of the mountain. But I thought that
Yeah.
was just way too aggressive. I was like,
Turns out,
no.
turns
Wha-
out that yeah,
Yeah, turns out that would have been like a gigantic good play because like just then you skip the rest of the mountain at that point. Yeah.
So, Fylion, I did glance at the race room, and I saw like there was something you want to talk about with everybody.
well, so did y'all
I leave
catch
the
what happened to
floor.
me? Did y'all
We s-
catch what happened to me in Thievestown?
we saw the death, and then we saw you weren't there anymore. What happened?
Yeah. I died in the back half of Thievestown,
Yep.
going to the basement, because the red hammerhead or horsehead shot upwards when I wasn't expecting it. So whatever, that's fine. Sometimes you take a death. And I
Yep.
tried to run the dungeon again. And like I had done on my first time, I used the cape on the Hellway, because that's what you do. And then like a dingus, I quick swapped off of the cape at
Oh
the same
no.
time I entered the door.
Oh,
Oh.
you cape glitched. Okay, we missed
And
that entirely.
so I just walked through the room and up the stairs. And then I came out the stairs upstairs and I walked back down the stairs. And I came out the stairs downstairs and I walked back up the stairs. And then I managed to save and quit out of there. And I was like, well, heck that noise. I'm not going to Thieves Town. I'm going to the mountain.
Yeah, we weren't sure why you were no longer there. We had missed that. So that explains a lot.
I had almost gone to the mountain before doing Thieves anyways, which sounds weird unless you played the nightly seed from last night, in which case that was 100% the play and I did it and I loved myself for it. So I had almost done that anyways. And after Thievestown didn't want me there, I was like, oh, maybe this is a sign I should just leave. And it didn't hurt me too badly in the long run, but there were a lot of ways it could once that mountain dive gave me, I think, nothing. It gave me a mushroom, which was not helpful.
Well, the mushroom was apparently a sword, according to the credits.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Oh, well, okay, you're never getting that after.
Yeah, I mean, because unless you turn that mushroom in stupid early, like, you're never finding that, especially because you never find flute because that mushroom's never convenient to turn in. So, oh, we know
Yeah.
where all the swords are. That's cool.
Hey, there's always a sword in swamp, is what I'm told, and
We had the
and
swamp palace today. Oh,
and pendant pod is a good thing, even though we didn't know it was a pendant. So
Oh no, I
About
knew it was a
that.
pendant. I went
Yeah.
out of my way to go. I was like, if this map saves me, if this map tells me that Pod is a pendant and it
was it
saves me the time of going to kill Helmasaur, then it's worth picking up right now. So I picked it up.
was it
Yeah, the
bumper
map.
cave?
Yeah, the
Yeah, it
bumper
was the
ledge
Yep.
was the map of Pod.
See, I thought about it, and then I said, you know, depending on what dungeon it's for, I might find out it's a pendant, and there would still just be an item on the boss. So it's like if it tells me that pod is a pendant, that doesn't matter because I'll still want the item. So I bailed, or I deliberately didn't pick it up. But
but it made me feel good about going to pendant Pod without the hammer because I was like, oh, I don't care.
yeah,
I don't care if I can't kill the boss, but whatever I find, I can find,
mm, yeah.
almost everything except for the one item on the boss out of this dungeon.
No, that's a really good point. I should have picked that up. Huh. Cool. Cool.
I mean, I think you can make the argument either way. Knowing that there's an item on Helmasaur, going for the kill wasn't a bad position to be in for you because at that point, Fylion, you still also had not done Smith Chain. So besides, a couple of swords, you were also missing fire rod, potentially ice rod, and
Oh yeah.
flute. So a lot still on the line. And for Oro at that point, having gotten everything and just looking for flute and a sword, I see why you say, yeah, I don't want to go kill Helma.
Wait, or you had fire rod before pod?
Yes, I did mirrorless Smith chain.
Oof. I thought about that, but then I was like, no, by the time I get to Hype Cave, I'll be wanting to go over to pod anyways, so I'll lose Smith to Kiki.
Well, I did Hype Cave my first. I skipped Thieves Town and did Hype Cave my first time
Mm.
around in Dark World, So then my second time around, I did the Smith World Tour, and so when I got the book off of Blind, I think
Yep.
Yep.
I was like, well, now I'm going to desert, so I might as well turn the purple chest in on my way there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Good plays. This is the problem with seeds like this is there's too many viable options, and
Yeah, you have a lot of good plays to make in this seed. Like you could do Spike Cave early, you can do the Marilla Smith chain. You got a
Mm,
dive pendant pod for
mm,
3 good items. I mean, come on.
I don't want to say there were a lot of good plays to make. I want to say there were a lot of defensible plays to make. Like so many of the things you could have done, and I would have said, "Yeah, that makes sense." There was nothing genius to do here. Yo, shoutouts to that collection rate though.
Shoutouts to having exactly 160 on both
Wow.
of you. Yeah. Man, this was a crazy close race. Like you two were like seconds apart, trading little bits of lead back and forth in TR, and it really came down to the unfortunate pokey death. That uh, it hurts.
Oh,
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks that that's what it came down to.
that yeah. Ooh, I've done those. I hate those. Um, I was yeah, and I was paranoid as well. It was like, well, that's one pokey hit anywhere will do it. So, oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, you both played one heck of a race. Like it was clear at a lot of points that you two were just like really trying your hardest. Like that GT climb from both of you was just like screaming fast. Like you could tell you're just in your mind, like I gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go as fast as possible. I gotta save every second possible. And like you both played your hearts out, and it showed. Like again, GG's to both of you. It was an excellent race.
Oro, I don't know about you. I found the GT Big Key, saw you hadn't finished, and I was like, oh, I guess I still have to play. I better like just dial it up to 11.
I checked the race room when I activated flute and saw you hadn't finished and then put it away for good. I was like, nope, I cannot look again.
You have
Oh
guts that
geez.
I don't.
Well, I think I'm out of questions and ready to settle down because this race has been way too tense. I'd imagine you two are both looking for a nice break after this too. So I will let you have the final words, and unless you have any further questions yourself, Jesse.
I do not. You know,
I'd love a break, but we have a race 4 to plan.
I mean, sure, but like at least for now, you can calm down and think about, all right, what are we doing for game 4?
I think we're throwing Locke at y'all again. So he's gonna have to stop playing. He's playing shufflers right now. Oh my god, what is wrong with that man? Um, I think it's gonna be Locke for game 4 though. So
Okay. We're not sure, but I think I need to talk to the rest of the team, but I think it's going to be me for game 4, and I'm thinking swordless.
oh baby.
oh baby.
But I
So
need to talk to the rest of the team because that's just my gut. We did not really our plan A was to go, you know, to get swept 0-3. And our plan B was, okay, what do we do if we win a game? So we were not prepared for this situation at all.
Well, surprise. I wasn't prepared to send my team to game 4 today, so no one's ready for this.
and I was gonna say, you're both talking about this, and we're as comms, Adalor and I are kind of listening, like, "Hey, what's going on?" Both of us kind of waiting to see also how this kind of shakes the Dark World Conference. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this whole conference on the bottom side of the bottom half of the open league is like every one of these series still has implications. Like you can't say we can't even start planning for our next opponents until like these other threes have resolved. So we're just kind of sitting here waiting, watching these ones play out, getting to watch some great races in the meantime. But like, yeah, hurry up and finish your set so we can plan.
Hey, that's my bad. I was on vacation last week. But I'm back now.
during a holiday week in the US. Interesting.
Uh,
Imagine that.
Canada. That's
Ah,
my
fair
final
enough.
word for today is Canada.
Awesome. But yeah, so we look forward to the future plans for Game 4 and, of course, a potential Game 5 between these two teams. And of course, plenty of action still going on. I don't know if we have any other races tonight.
I
Um,
believe we are done with open. I'm looking at that. Yeah, nothing left for open. Let's check invitational.
Invitational has a race not until 7 a.m. tomorrow. And we have a very full schedule across open and well, invitational, especially as they are in the first week of their round for the division, or round one, I guess, of their playoffs.
Yeah, they had an
Uh,
extra week off compared to open, so they're getting into their first 3 games this week. Yeah, we've got 7 invitational games on the schedule for tomorrow. Not all of them been locked into channels just yet, but yeah, the those will be all on the Speed Gaming Network. So
yeah,
check
and
out those
on the
channels there.
open side, we do have one game four on the schedule at 2:40 p.m. Not yet selected for a restream. Hopefully, we will get to see that. So
Yep,
clinch
that'll be
scenario
a
there.
Rando Babies versus JK Law going into their game 4, which has been selected as the Enemizer game. So that'll be fun to watch. A very execution focused battle. That'll be.
Yeah, so really going to be an interesting one, and of course, all those invitational matches. So uh, keep watching here as well as the SG channels to hopefully see more great action like this one.
And thank you again to our crew, Jesse, my co-commentator. It's been an absolute blast and a joy being in
It
the
has
booth
been
with you
fun.
again. It's always fun. I love commenting
Yeah.
with you. It's great.
Big shout outs to Tofile for doing the tracking and Pool Float for being our restreamer tonight here.
We could
So,
not do these restreams without our trackers and restreamers. So yeah, big huge shout outs to everyone that's involved.
yep. So, but everybody have a great rest of your Tuesday night, and hopefully we'll see you here again soon for another race.